Hi and welcome to ASEAN Today. I'm Mela Lesmoras of PTV4 in Manila.
Selamat berjumpa lagi. I'm Raissa Chentami of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta, and this is your weekly look at the dynamic Southeast Asia region. Daily protests in Myanmar are ongoing in towns and cities across that country after the military took control on February 1st.
Security forces made up of police and military personnel have been responding to demonstrations with increasing brutality. This includes the shooting of peaceful protesters and disappearances. As of the beginning of April, at least 248 people, including children, have been killed, with more than 2,100 journalists, protesters, activists, and civilians detained. Commander-in-Chief Aung Hlaing declared a state of emergency for 1 year, after which he said an election will be held. Protests include several Chinese factories being set on fire on March 15th, in the deadliest week since the military coup. The burning marks the first time foreign businesses have been directly caught up in the violence. Some opponents of the coup view China as supportive of the military and have criticized Beijing for refusing to condemn the military takeover.
Protests also continued in Thailand, with thousands on the streets of Bangkok calling for the release of activists, constitutional changes, and reform to the nation's monarchy. This rally outside Bangkok's Grand Palace on March 21st was a continuation of student-led protests that began last year. The demonstrators numbered nearly 1,000, and they broke through a barrier made of shipping containers outside the palace. 33 people, including 13 police officers, were hurt by rubber bullets, rocks, and tear gas. The demonstrators came after Parliament failed to pass a bill in mid-March to rewrite the military-backed constitution, one of the protesters' main demands. Indonesia's forced withdrawal from badminton's All England Open Championships over coronavirus fears prompted a diplomatic appeal. The Indonesian team was ruled out after a passenger on their flight to the United Kingdom tested positive for COVID-19. The All England was already missing China, South Korea, and Taiwan in the biggest tournament before the Tokyo Olympics in July.
Anda bisa bayangkan betapa anehnya kita yang sudah divaksin tiba-tiba bukan hanya tidak boleh ikut bertanding, kita itu kemudian juga diminta untuk dilakukan diisolasi 10 hari. Ya kan? Saya kurang paham ini apakah ini diskriminasi atau tidak.
Indonesia's government told its ambassador to Great Britain to petition for a reversal and make sure there's no discrimination and unfair treatment.
Here in the Philippines, the government issued a formal diplomatic protest to China after hundreds of Chinese fishing vessels were spotted at a disputed reef in the South China Sea. More than 200 ships were seen moored at Whitsun Reef on March 7th. The area is a large but shallow boomerang-shaped coral reef within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. The vessel's presence is a concern due to possible overfishing and destruction of the marine environment. Both China and the Philippines have overlapping claims in the research-rich South China Sea.
With the threat of a second or third coronavirus wave in many countries, vaccines are emerging as the centerpiece of a global recovery. That's why ASEAN and its 700 million people are in the heat of vaccine competition with the rest of the world. The first batch of Sinovac's coronavirus vaccine donated by China arrived in the Philippines on February 28th, the first COVID-19 vaccine to reach the Southeast Asian country.
I convey my sincere gratitude to the Chinese people and the government of China for this gesture of friendship and solidarity, the hallmark of Philippine-China partnership.
The Philippines launched a COVID-19 vaccination campaign on March 1st, starting with frontline medical workers. Several senior cabinet members, military and police officers were vaccinated at different hospitals on the same day to enhance the public's confidence in the vaccine. The Philippines has tested more than 8 million people since the virus emerged in January last year. Thailand began its nationwide inoculation program on February 28th with China's CoronaVac vaccine. Medical staff were among the first to receive the vaccine. This country will distribute the vaccine to 13 provinces, 9 with the most COVID-19 cases, and 4 tourist regions. So far, the Thai government has ordered 2 million doses of the Sinovac vaccine for shipment to Thailand in 3 batches. The first batch of 200,000 doses arrived on February 24th. The second batch of 800,000 doses arrived on March 20th, and the third batch of 1 million doses will arrive in April. Currently, more than 100 private companies in the country have jointly started the vaccine procurement procedure. Chinese vaccines arrived in Malaysia on February 27th. The Malaysian government is planning to inoculate at least 80% of the country's 31 million people in a national immunization program that began in February. 20% of the population is expected to receive the Sinovac vaccines. Malaysia's vaccination program will be conducted in 3 phases. Phase 1 for frontline workers, Phase 2 for high-risk groups, and Phase 3 for adults aged 18 and above. Indonesia's health ministry on March 17th said more than 1.2 million registered health workers had received 2 doses of the COVID vaccine since the campaign began here on January 13th. Indonesia has administered 6.5 million doses of vaccine as of March 22nd. Indonesia has been using mainly the Sinovac vaccine.
After years of crisis, a Malaysian automobile brand is enjoying a sharp upward trend in both sales figures and consumer perceptions. ASEAN Today's Karina Tasha reports.
China's Geely Group acquired a nearly 50% stake in Malaysia's national car maker Proton in 2017, effectively taking manufacturing control of the new popular X50 and X70 car models. This has also contributed to a changing image of China-made products. The improved brand perceptions are set to arise from the increase in quality control and new higher-end features normally only seen in more expensive vehicles. There's even a several-month-long waiting list for those keen to get behind the wheel of Proton's new compact X50 SUV. The X50 is the second new model since Geely took over following the higher-end X70, which were initially made in China but are now being assembled in Malaysia.
The impression before Geely come in, we actually not so confident of buying Proton. After Geely come in, because they are investing a lot of engineering, especially when it's launched the X70, we are so happy because we buy this is fully imported from China.
Previously, Proton was bogged down by consumer complaints related to poor quality and reliability, but fans of the new models are saying that Geely has quickly reversed prior impressions as data reveals that Proton has achieved its highest market share in 7 years.
So far, so good. They've done all the right things. They've launched products which have been well received by the market. They have made ongoing improvements to their existing product lineup. They have made improvements in terms of product quality.
This is actually a value for money car because he have most of the high-tech features. For example, they have a 360-degree view and they also have this voice-over technology like AI.
Other Chinese brands are also getting a boost from Malaysian consumer as the Made in China logo has become more synonymous with cutting-edge technology. They include Huawei smartphones and DJI drones. Karina Tasha for ASEAN Today.
More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly.
Global leaders are monitoring events in Myanmar, and many are siding with protesters. They're next.
You're watching ASEAN Today. I'm Mela Lesmoras in Manila.
And I'm Raissa Chentami in Jakarta. Protesters in Myanmar are seeking support from the international community, with many calling for sanctions and some asking for United Nations peacekeepers. Leaders in the region and across the world continue to speak out. They're in the hot seat.
There can be no doubt in a democracy, force should never seek to overrule the will of the people or attempt to erase the outcome of a credible election. The Burmese military should relinquish power they have seized, release the advocates and activists and officials they have detained, lift the restrictions on telecommunications, and refrain from violence.
Atas nama pribadi dan seluruh rakyat Indonesia, saya menyampaikan duka cita dan simpati yang dalam kepada korban dan keluarga korban akibat penggunaan kekerasan di Myanmar. Dan Indonesia mendesak agar penggunaan kekerasan di Myanmar segera dihentikan, sehingga tidak ada lagi korban berjatuhan. Keselamatan dan kesejahteraan rakyat harus menjadi prioritas utama. Indonesia juga mendesak agar dialog, agar rekonsiliasi segera dilakukan untuk memulihkan demokrasi, untuk memulihkan perdamaian, dan untuk memulihkan stabilitas di Myanmar.
And then to arrest Daw Aung San Suu Kyi as well as her ministers and the president and charge them with walkie-talkie offenses and things like that. I don't think that's going to help solve the problem. So you really have to release Aung San Suu Kyi, negotiate with her and her team, and work out a peaceful way forward for Myanmar. You can ostracize them, you can condemn them, you can pass resolutions or not, but it really has very little influence on what the Myanmars will do. It had zero influence the last time round, and the only impact was, for lack of anybody willing to talk to them, they fell back on those people who were willing to talk to them, which was China and to some extent India. And it was an uncomfortable position for them, but it did not cause them to decide, I must do what the Americans or the Europeans or even the other ASEAN countries would have preferred them to do.
The people of Myanmar, we don't like the military coup. We want to end the military coup as quick as possible, as soon as possible. This is the desire of all the people. But the degree may differ from one to another. That we need to respect it because we believe in freedom of expression and freedom of belief. So that is, we really want to respect each other. So respect their decision, respect their position. Because of the situation, because of the circumstances we are facing, we really need the protection from the international community. That is what we like to stress. In addition to what in addition to the appeal that I made on the 26th of February at the General Assembly, we need to have the protection from the international community. The best solution will be the military should end the military coup. That they immediately release the Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, President U Win Myint, and all unlawful detainees. Stop brutality. That sort of action be given by the military will make things move forward. Otherwise, it will be difficult. Look at the sentiment and the perception of people is already very negative toward the military because of their brutal act on the people of Myanmar.
The people of Myanmar are making their voices heard. Doctors and civil servants, grocery store cashiers and milk tea servers, delivery drivers, all rig operators and artists. They are marching in the streets. They are raising red balloons and banging pots and pans, and they are demanding their democracy back. We stand in solidarity with them. We stand with the millions of people in Myanmar who have displayed courage and determination to reject this military coup. We stand with them as they call for a return to peace, democratic governance, and rule of law. The military has tried to silence those calls with social media and internet blackouts, but we still hear the people of Myanmar loud and clear.
The military coup on February 1st reversed years of slow progress towards democracy in Myanmar. More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly.
Why foreign visitors still aren't allowed to enter the Philippines? A new COVID-19 variant is causing extended lockdowns. This is ASEAN Today.
And we are coming to you this week from Jakarta and Manila. Migrant workers in Thailand regularly remit payments to support their families back home. But these important transfers have declined substantially because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And workers coming from Myanmar have the additional recent problem of political instability. ASEAN Today's Aisha Nadira reports.
The livelihoods of millions of migrant workers in Thailand were severely affected by the political instability and ensuing chaos in Myanmar, as bank and remittance services were heavily disrupted. Joy is a migrant worker who crossed the border 5 years ago in search of a better future that could support her family. She taught migrant children and was able to send a third of her income back home every month without fail. But things changed since last month.
ประเทศเมียนมาเขาไม่ได้เปิดทางงานอันนี้ธนาคารพี่แล้วก็ประเทศเมียนมาไม่เปิดก็ประเทศไทยก็ออกไม่ได้บางคนก็เขาว่าส่งกันไหนหน้าคืนเราก็เดี๋ยวที่จอยก็เมืองกันเดือนนี้จอยก็ส่งกันไหนหน้าป้าหนูก็อายุค่อนข้าง70แล้วพ่อหนูก็70กว่าแล้วน่าจะเขา
Joy is now single-handedly supporting her family of 9. She has resorted to using a broker with exorbitant interest rates to make cash runs to the silt-off border. The risk is high for the broker and for her as well, but for Joy and the estimated 4 million migrant workers in Thailand, there's just no other option. In Thailand, economic opportunities are greater, wages higher, and there's more demand for less skilled labor. All of that are attractive factors for migrant workers. But the past year has been tough, and the instability in Myanmar has cut a vital lifeline that migrant families depend on.
9% out of 10 that we interviewed basically mentioned they were not able to send remittances back home or had to largely reduce the amount that they were sending back home.
Ansart also said that the drop in remittance will also dramatically impact the Myanmar's growth.
Migrant workers in Thailand sent annually around $2.8 billion of formal remittances. This represents a very important contribution to this country's GDP. The percentage, if we look at them for Myanmar, it's 4.3% of their GDP that rely on remittances.
More than 4 million Myanmar migrants from a population of about 54 million work overseas in industries ranging from manufacturing, agriculture, to domestic work. Their top 2 labor destinations are Malaysia and Thailand. Aisha Nadira for ASEAN Today.
Here are several events on the ASEAN calendar. Thai Heritage Conservation Day will be held on April 2nd. Muslims in Southeast Asia and across the world will mark the beginning of the holy month of Ramadan on April 12th. And Asia's leading yacht and boat lifestyle show will take place from April 22nd to the 25th in Singapore. Foreign citizens are still not allowed to enter the Philippines, with very few exceptions. That's because COVID-19 cases and a new variant aren't flattening out. ASEAN Today's Fazul Adsim reports.
The Philippines is taking measures to contain the spread of a new COVID-19 variant by imposing a small-scale lockdowns. As of late March, the Philippines has recorded nearly 700,000 COVID-19 cases. The number of deaths is nearly 13,000, and the country's Department of Health confirmed the detections of a new COVID-19 variant called P3 with more than 300 cases confirmed. Metro Manila is the region that has been hit the hardest. Among all confirmed cases, more than 250,000 are from this region, nearly 40%. At present, it remains under general community quarantine. But experts are calling on the government to increase epidemic control measures such as enhanced community quarantine. Such a lockdown has begun in a village in Mandaluyong City of the region called Barangay Addition Hills in an effort to prevent the spread of the COVID-19 variant. Officials say that among 2,500 villagers, 6 confirmed cases were found.
We close 3 zones like Zone 4, Zone 5, and Zone 9. And we put up a table and for the checking. And also, we prepared for the quarantine pass. You know, it's for the health essential. I mean, the health workers, they can go anytime. And also the essential workers, we give them a quarantine pass. And also, we give also a quarantine pass for the family, one authorized person to buy some essential like food, like medicine.
This is not the first time that the village has been locked down. Colrido said it happened in May last year. At present, the epidemic has been going on for more than a year and residents have reduced their protective measures. Authorities must remind people to observe health rules. In addition to the small-scale community lockdowns, a curfew policy has been implemented in Metro Manila. The curfew is from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. In addition, minors and the elderly are banned from leaving their homes.
Affected po kasi walang masyado naglalabas ng mga tao, walang bumibili, ganun. Pakunti-kunti lang yung lumalabas. Kaya kahit pa paano po, mayroon sila nabibilhan ng pang-araw-araw kahit pakunti-kunti lang pang mga kape, kung ano lang panggamit sa umaga.
Marific Odones is a vendor in Mandaluyong City whose main source of income comes from what she sells at her stall. She said before the pandemic, she could earn 600 pesos or $12 every day. But now she only takes in 200 to 300 pesos a day, reducing her income by more than half.
Mahirap po kasi pag ganito, matumal, saka parang, basta po mahirap, di ko po masabi kung anong sitwasyon natin ngayon. Sana po matapos na po ito.
Researchers warn that the countries may see up to 18,000 daily infections by mid-April, as the virus spreads by nearly twice its previous pace. Fauzul Azim for ASEAN Today.
We like hearing from you throughout the ASEAN region and the world. Ani posted this on our Instagram page. Kudos to the Indonesian badminton team. Even though you didn't play, you are all winners in our hearts. All of our episodes are posted on YouTube, so check us out there if you can't find us on your local TV channel. Then let us know what you're thinking or what you want to see on the program. Email us at ASEANTodayTV@gmail.com, post something on our Facebook page, or tweet us at ASEANTodayTV.
TikTok has become the latest tech company to join the Indonesia's booming e-commerce market.
The social media app has not only created a platform for ordinary people to shine, but also for brands to reach out to a wide variety of people. Indonesia's e-commerce market has been surging even as the economy contracted during the COVID-19 pandemic. With more than 1.1 billion active users globally as of February 2021, TikTok offers several monetization options to support the creativity of its content creators. It has entered the booming market in Indonesia with new business and shopping features to attract young audiences. And that's ASEAN Today for this week. I'm Raissa Chentami of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta.
And I'm Mela Lesmoras of PTV4 in Manila. Maraming salamat po. Thank you for watching. Please join us again next time for ASEAN Today.